so now, hi YouTube. That's enough, Sammy. This class may not get posted. I teach a lot of grade 9 classes. The class that I just watched best with that day or that lesson, that's the one that gets posted. Alright? So, right now the website has all my lessons from last year on it. Slowly they will get replaced. Okay? So, please, on here, write your name. Now I gotta find my pen. So, every once in a while I see students in their haste leave a booklet behind. So I like to return it to the person. So this homeroom 1-1. Okay? In the two bottom corners of this, you have the links to the class website. You have the URL and you have the QR code. Each takes you to the website. Now, the first chapter here is called exponents. Thank you. All right. Now, exponents. You looked at it a little bit in grade 8, a little bit in grade 7. They show up a lot more in future mathematics. Okay. The way a lot of natural things grow, for example, bacteria, they follow an exponential process, right? If you graph how bacteria grow, you don't need to know this, but you'll learn about this in future grades. You graph it, you'll get a curve like this. Anything with a curve like that has to do with exponents. It's exponential. That's it. A lot of things grow population-wise like that. Also, just how things function. Like how do they calculate how much fuel do you need to get into space? And if they say, okay, you want to have a payload of 1 pound, takes 1 pound of fuel to get it up into space. So, but what if you want to double that payload to 2 pounds? How much fuel do you think you need? Right? Yes. Yeah. So you need not just double, because you need extra fuel to carry the weight of the other fuel. Right? So lots of things just don't grow doubling and tripling. They grow like this. Has an exponential format. Now, in grade 9, we don't really get into too much of that. We just started to talk about what are the rules of exponents. We do talk about bacteria growth towards the end of it, right? But in grade 9, we sort of just talk about what are the rules of exponents. Because in grade 8, you just learn how to use it. Now, in grade 9, there's going to be a whole bunch of rules you got to learn about exponents. Right? And in grade 10, you start using those rules. So on the back of the first page, right here, is all the rules we're going to learn. We're not going to fill out this page right now. This is going to be more of a summary at the end of the chapter. Right? There's a whole bunch of rules you're going to learn about exponents. Today, we're just going to learn about what is the terminology, how to do exponents. So, a little bit of grade 8 advanced. Right? That's what we're going to do today. All right. So, now, when you started school, the first math thing that they asked you to do is to learn how to count. In kindergarten, they asked you to learn how to count. Once you got that down pretty good, they go, let's do some fancy counting. Let's do some skip counting. So you learn how to count by 2, 4, 6, 8, or 3, 6, 9, 12, right? Then you go from the fancy counting to like, let's make that a little bit faster. Instead of going 2, 2, 2, 2, let's put some math operations on. Instead of going 2, 4, 6, 8, we learn about adding. 2 plus 2 plus 2 is 6. So you sort of learned that adding was like a fast way of skip counting, right? Then you go, okay, adding still can be kind of slow. We want to make adding a little bit faster. And you go, hey, instead of going 2 plus 2 plus 2, you can do multiply. We have 3 2's. We go 3 times 2. It means the same thing. It's 6. Right? So now, at grade 9, we're going to look at not a fast way of adding, but a fast way of multiplying. That's where exponents sure. Right? So now last year, you would have seen things like this. A 7, maybe I'll use black. Let's use black. 7 with a 3 floating up in the air. All right? What did this mean? How did we calculate this, Gabe?
Times the number by itself 3 times.
Times the number by itself 3 times. So that number you're talking about 7, right? So this means, I'm going to use the equal. It's sort of like the English math way of saying this means. It means, hey, 7 times 7 times 7. So this format here, which is called an exponential form, is a short way of showing this long multiplication. So this long multiplication is called a repeated multiplication. It's the same number being repeated over and over and over and over, right? Especially if you imagine if the number was like 15 or 16, you don't really want to write out all those sevens, right? You also don't want to calculate it that way. I'll show you how to calculate to do it really fast. Now, good thing we know what it means, how to calculate it, but now we need to learn how to talk about it, right? So this word, each of these numbers has a name to it, right? This 3 floating up in the air. Does anyone know what that's called? Cannon? No? Sorry, you got a call. Sorry? Oh, that's the short name. We're going to talk about that later on. But the generic name, Sammy?
Wait, what are we talking about?
Oh, what was that? Oh.
No, I was like.
Okay, you can go for another one. Yeah. To the power. Ooh, close.
You're going to like,
Nice.
step 9 and things like that.
Yeah, that's great. Now, I think you're thinking the right thing, and it really depends on who your previous teacher was and where they got educated. Now, the terminology for this, lots of people use the wrong word. They mix things up around, and they mean the same thing. They mean power of 3. Now, it depends on where your teacher grew up, or where you grew up, or what part of the country it is, or what even the time frame it was. They changed the vocab. So right now, on the west coast of Canada, or even the west coast of North America here, they do not want to refer this to a power of 3. They want to call that an exponent 3. Okay? Now, and they reserve the word power for not the number floating up in the air, but they say this whole thing is called a power. Okay? So I grew up just the way Colin said. And that's a power of 3, right? That's where, but they sort of changed how they want to refer to this. Now, I don't know what the history of this. I think it might be a local geographic thing. Right? So that is called a power. The whole thing. So a power, the whole thing, consists of an exponent and another part, which is this 7. That's a trickier one. I know I didn't use this name in grade 8. Some teachers did. You know what the name of the 7 is called? The number not floating at the bottom. You do? What is it called, bud? The base. He was paying attention. Makes me happy. Okay, so the 7 is called the base. Okay, so we are going to have a quiz next week. We'll do an assignment. After the assignment, we'll do a quiz. One of the questions is going to be just like this. I have this thing sitting here. Can you tell me what are the different parts? What's the base? What's the power? Yes, Sammy. Is what?
Base.
So Sammy says -3 is the base. You want to finish off the rest, Sammy? No? Okay. Addie?
The exponent is 5.
Exponent is 5. And what would the power be? Addie?
The whole thing.
The whole thing. Now, the last two things are right. The first one, what we're calling the base, is almost right. This is what the tricky part here is. Oh! You should show up to both classes. You can be the superstar in this class, right? Yes,
Is
Sammy?
it just 3?
No, it's not this. What is it?
The brackets.
You need the brackets as well. Okay, so now, the way the base works, the way you identify the base is you look at the exponent and whatever immediately to the left of it is your base. So I have this 5 sitting here. Right to the left of it is this bracket. So this bracket, it has 2 parts, the opening and the closing. So the bracket and everything inside the bracket is my base. Okay, so that's really important because the exponent tells us the base repeats. And so if you can't figure out what the base is, you don't know what is repeating. So if I wanted to show this as a repeating calculation, it'd be these brackets and everything inside of it repeating 5 times. So I'm gonna write it out. You don't have to, but it'll be this bracket repeating 5 times. -3, -3, -3, -3. The brackets with everything inside of it. Okay? Is that okay? Gets a little tricky in the nuances with it, but yeah. Fine? Okay. So, now that you know the terminology, how to take the repeat the calculation and write it as exponent form, you need to go back and forth. So if I gave you this set of 3s there, and I wanted you to write that as a power, you need to tell me what the base is, the number on the bottom, you need to tell me what the exponent is, the number up top. What would the base be? What would the exponent be? Addie?
Base would be 3.
Base is 3. The number you see getting repeated is your base. What is our exponent? Keelan? 4. How many times it gets repeated is that? All right? Another easy quiz question. You need to go back and forth between these things. Right? All right. Now, on the other side of the page is we have the word evaluate. Math word. It means something. What is it asking you to do? Right? Give you the word evaluate. Quiz gives you a test. What is it asking you to do?
Evaluate and how
Using the same word to define it?
you can't use the word in the
I've
definition.
heard it, but I don't know what it means.
What would you do, Sammy? If I told you to evaluate this, what would you actually do?
Skip the question.
I know you wouldn't. I saw your test. Alright. So the word evaluate means just to calculate. Figure out what the number of it equals. Alright? So you have all these 3s. You grab your calculator, you go 3 times 3 times 3 times 3, and you get a number. Alright? Alright. What number do you get?
Or no,
It's 3 times 3.
yeah.
And then that number is times 3. And then that
See,
number
I
is 3.
told you my answer.
What number would it be?
Well,
No, I.
Ah, 12.
It is 9 times 9, which is
Yes.
81.
81. Thank you.
I just counted by 3.
Okay. So now, we want to be able to do this calculation or a calculator faster. We don't want to type in 3 times 3 times 3 times 3. There's only 4 numbers here. That's not too bad, but there's 20 of them. I really don't want to type in 23s in a row. So instead of typing this in, we do it using exponents. All right. So how do we do an exponent? Depends on how your calculator is. These not all manufacturers use the same exponent button. So my calculator and Santo's calculator is the same one. Looks like this, and some of you guys will have the same exponent button right here, Santos. It's a button that looks like this. It's called a caret or an upside down V.
A carrot?
Yeah, that's what it's called. I think it's a Greek name or something like that. So, yeah, that's what you refer to. Okay, some of you guys will have that. Some of you guys will have something that looks like a power. Y with an X up on top. Or an X with a Y floating up there. Or maybe the same thing written with A's and B's. Okay, so grab your calculator and try to do this. So for me, I go 3 exponent 4 and hit my equals button. And I get the straight answer. So much faster. So